with all that's going on, we all seem to forget, unless I haven't known because I don't have cable television anymore, that it's Asian Pacific Heritage Month or Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. If you all watch my channel regularly and you know, in November I'm going to dedicate that whole month to the solidarity or the juxtaposition between the Black American and Asian American communities. And some stuff I'm going to go throughout the world and play different clips of different people considered Asian and Black throughout the world. I'm still looking for clips of Black people that are public domain. I may or may not have those, don't hold me to it. See, this love and hate for certain people comes in waves, and the point of me advertising that series all of November, and it'll be a lot of videos, I'm still working on them now, is that this type of hate comes in and out and comes in waves. On the screen, you see this gentleman, and if you don't know, this is Sasui Hayakawa. Kaiwa. I can't say his name right, so I apologize. I'm still learning and educating myself. In the age of silent film in Hollywood, he was one of the first non-white sex symbols. Now, you'll need to watch that series in November to get more detail as to why I think Sasui got by with being the only non-white sex symbol. And I'm still working on the video concerning Sasui. Okay. What does this have to do with concentration camps? See, old Hollywood back in the early 1900s accepted a Japanese national as a sex symbol and made him famous in Hollywood. And people kind of had their ups and downs about that, but overall it wasn't a big problem in the United States. Not even a generation later, we could take that same ethnic group of people who were born and raised Americans and throw them in concentration camps. This is why Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is important. Because the atrocity that was committed to Asian Americans on this day is something that we need to not forget. It produced civil rights activist Yuri Kochiyama, who saw parallels between the Japanese and Black Americans. And at a time, there was solidarity to a degree between the two. Again, you'll need to watch that series in November. I'm not going to go into detail. Washington State, where I live on Bainbridge Island, I don't live on Bainbridge in specific, but Bainbridge is part of Kitsap County, but it can take you an hour or more depending on where you're going to drive around that island. So I haven't been to the Japanese museum here. See, we have Japanese gardens all over the place in the United States because the Japanese are one of the ethnic groups that have provided the most historical significance amongst people considered Asian American in the United States. And we'll get back to their influence in a minute. This is a dark time in our history that we need to not forget because it's 2024 now and we're approaching the near 100-year anniversary when Japanese internment happened. It's important that we keep certain things alive. We must remember that this was less than 100 years ago. So there are still a few people alive who understand the pain of this and don't want to talk about it, and rightfully so. Here we go. This thing wants to do updates soon as I'm doing a video. Here's the thing. There's a lady who talks about this and how her grandmother, when she arrived at this concentration camp in her youth, her nose would still scrunch up years later when she brought it up, because she can remember the smell of the place, because 3 days prior, the building that she was put in was a horse stable or a horse stall. They put those shabby buildings together so quickly and then huddled families together and made them share facilities. And despite that, the resilience caused these families to still make the best that they could of the situation. But that didn't change the pain of it. See, in the United States right now, it's nothing for people to go to a sushi bar, to go enjoy sake. Now I'm seeing a movement of the Yakuza curry coming that was originally started in Japan. Some British soldiers took katsu and brought the curry over. Ask a good chunk of Americans if they could go anywhere in Asia, where would they go? Japan will always be at top 5 of that list. I can about guarantee you, for people who want to travel. Right now, it's rumored that Japan wants black men to come over and help with their population. I'm going to get into that more, because black people in America have been moving to Japan now in small numbers for decades. And they even have African American, because that's the term that's being used, I don't subscribe to it, basketball player named Ira Brown, who plays on the Japanese national team and is married a Japanese lady. So that culture has permeated the United States for a long time. See, we love our sushi and our sake. We love watching sumo wrestling, and we love anime. What we seem to take for granted is, in the midst of all of this, there was an unfortunate unaliving of a few Asians in Atlanta by a man just because they were Asians. And even amongst us FBAs, there's been a few of our own, which has been disheartening to me, attacking Asian Americans. See, these attacks come easy when you forget your history, when you forget that in the middle of Jim Crow, you had another ethnic group who were locked down simply because of the color of their skin and a perceived threat, despite the fact that a good chunk of them were American born by this time. I encourage you all to go study Blumenbach's 5 racial categories, because it is the basis for why this stuff is happening. If not, you can wait for my video in November. Don't let this month pass you by without a greater understanding of why what happened in the 1940s, why it was an atrocity, why it was a stain on the American way of life. And the fact that Asian hate is happening right now is an indication this stuff could come back. Don't get me wrong, I'm Black American. I don't understand you all's struggle. I'm not pretending to understand. But in this modern age, how do you reconcile the worship of certain aspects of a culture or an ethnic group while not dealing with the hatred of that same group? Ponder that question.